promptly came out that Tim Walz was a radical leftist. The man who was supposed to win over Midwestern working-class men for Kamala had mandated tampons in the boys' bathrooms and made his state a sanctuary for underage kids claiming to be another gender who wanted to castrate and sterilize themselves. A story so extreme that many did not believe it, but you must clarify, as your campaign had tried to do, and now you appear to be distancing yourself from that clarification.
What happens when a calm, Minnesota-nice politician suddenly combusts on live television? Tonight, we dive into the explosive moment Tim Walz lost his cool after Megyn Kelly exposed his most controversial secrets. From his radical policies to accusations of stolen valor, to a meltdown so raw it left viewers stunned, this is the side of Tim Walz that his campaign never wanted you to see.
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given this. But how? I've given this advice on a lot of things that getting involved, getting engaged, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate.
From 2015 to 2023, which was the date Tim Walz repealed the law requiring life-saving care, 24 babies were born alive in Minnesota after an attempted abortion. Think of how horrific that is.
Tim Walz, Minnesota's 41st governor and now vice presidential candidate under Kamala Harris, has spent years branding himself as a friendly, down-to-earth leader. But critics say beneath the dad joke persona lies one of the most radical records in the nation. And when Megyn Kelly challenged him head-on during her show, his carefully crafted mask slipped.
Get to Tim Walz, who, just when you think no one's sitting at this table, neither she nor the big white blanket, can embarrass themselves any further, he does. She asks him, to her credit, about the carrying the weapons in war, which we know is a lie. He never served in war. He's been stealing valor for quite some time. And take a listen to this answer.
You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country.
This was the moment Walz snapped. A calm smile turned into stammering defensiveness and eventually, visible anger. His military record, once a pillar of his political image, was now under fire.
Got Tim Walz. Okay, Jen Psaki, she's a talking head, whatever. But Tim Walz was recently the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket. Maybe you would expect a little better, a little higher in terms of the rhetoric. You would be disappointed. Here is SOT 27.
Get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things. And although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime. Just so you know, there will be news.
Look at him. So chipper. Don't worry, there will be news.
Kelly's line of questioning wasn't random. Walz has faced years of criticism for policies that pushed him into the national spotlight, policies that his opponents call extreme.
Sense to me. Here's the capper. He's as radical as we can get on the trans and children issue. He is Gavin Newsom with white hair. He signed an executive order that says the state can take your child away from you if you don't, quote, affirm their gender identity and make sure they can get access to puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries, chopping off their healthy body parts. That's as radical as we have anywhere in the world.
Megyn Kelly has built a career on fearless questioning, from Donald Trump to Hollywood elites. Her sharp, unfiltered style made her one of the few journalists Walz couldn't charm his way past.
The moderators were disgusting, but J.D. Vance was a vision. And Tim Walz really did indeed look like the bumbling knucklehead he said he was.
Time and again, when pressed, Walz has exploded, blaming reporters, deflecting questions, or simply shutting down. And each time, his reputation takes another hit.
Speaking of the left's celebration of violence, here's another soundbite. This one is still Tim Walz, but it's on Gavin Newsom's podcast Tuesday.
You got to respect people you disagree with, and you can't just dismiss people.
How do you fight it?
This
I
notion
think
of
I can
tax.
kick most of their ass. I do think that. I think, well, I know I can go wrong, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of.
From dropping school performance to granting free health care and tuition for undocumented immigrants, Walz's policies fuel debates that divide voters sharply. His outburst on Kelly's show only amplifies those concerns.
Tells us everything we need to know. First of all, Minnesota schools have dropped from 7th in the nation to 19th under his gubernatorial reign. He wants driver's licenses for all illegals. He wants free tuition for all illegals. He wants free healthcare. Has provided, not just once, has provided free healthcare for all illegals. And as I said in the intro, free is not free. He wants to make Minnesota a sanctuary state.
Rivals like J.D. Vance and GOP strategists wasted no time capitalizing on the meltdown. Social media exploded with clips, memes, and hashtags mocking Walz's composure. Even moderates began questioning whether his Minnesota Nice brand was just a carefully staged act.
The ideas of carrying these weapons of war, and my wife, the English teacher, told my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on
classroom. I'm in the classroom. My record speaks for itself. It doesn't, actually. You've put a lot of lies into that record that you've been called out on by service persons.
So, who is the real Tim Walz? The smiling Midwestern dad joke politician, or the red-faced man unraveling when challenged? Megyn Kelly didn't just expose his secrets. She exposed his inability to handle the heat.
You don't think that's racism and misogyny?
There's everything in there, right? Like, I'm going to kick their ass. Okay, sure, Jan. These are bad guys, the online influencers. He's clearly talking about, sort of the manosphere that helped get Trump elected. They're bad. And then how do we kick them back under a rock? The leftist instinct to silence, always there when it's not their POV. And then just the cherry on top, they're all.
Walz's eruption tells us everything. Leaders reveal their true character when the mask slips. And for Tim Walz, the mask didn't just slip, it shattered. The question now is, can he recover before voters make their decision?
They did not even run the soundbite where Tim Walz calls himself a knucklehead after he clearly gets caught in and confronted with a lie he told about being in China for the Tiananmen Square.
What happens when a politician built on calm Minnesota Nice suddenly detonates on live television? Governor Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick, just suffered his most humiliating moment yet. Megyn Kelly ripped into his record, accused him of stolen valor, and exposed the cracks in his carefully polished image. Tonight, we reveal how one meltdown destroyed years of stage managing and why this moment may haunt his entire career.
You could just sense the power in the hall, and it was the power of joy. These two people yesterday managed to put a smile on the nation's face.
He is a basic, boring white man, right? That's what they've been saying all along. The idea that somehow that side, right, the boring white guys for Kamala's side, is not the racially divisive party, I think is preposterous, right? I think it's pretty nakedly.
Tim Walz isn't just any governor. He's the smiling, folksy Midwesterner suddenly thrust into the biggest race in America. For years, his brand has been stability, humor, and dad-like patience. But critics argue it's all a mask. And Megyn Kelly? She ripped it straight off on live TV.
Guy from the heartland goes to Yale? That's so dishonest. If you read his memoir or know anything about the guy, it's a miracle he wound up at Yale. He was a child of abuse. No dad, drug-addled mom, man after man in the house, including very abusive domestic violence things he witnessed and was potentially.
At first, Walz tried to keep calm. But under pressure, his composure cracked. His smile vanished. His voice shook. And then came the eruption.
Been there, and there was Oliver Wendell Holmes. Actually, you can. I don't believe you're a lawyer, Governor Walz. You can yell fire in a crowded theater, and you can say hateful things because this is the United States of America, and it's right there in Amendment number 1. It's one of our favorites. It was one of the founders' favorites and was one of the founding principles upon which this country was built. There's no exception for speech. Tim Walz or Kamala Harris magically deemed.
Kelly's confrontation wasn't just about his military claims. It tapped into a deeper pattern of controversy that has shadowed Walz for years. Megyn Kelly wasn't the first to challenge Walz, but she was the first to corner him in front of millions. Her brand of journalism is sharp, relentless, and unafraid. From Donald Trump to Hollywood elites, she's built a career exposing cracks in carefully managed images. This eruption comes at the worst possible time. As Kamala Harris's running mate, every outburst threatens the Democratic ticket. Walz's appeal was supposed to be stability, but after Kelly's grilling, voters are asking, if he can't handle questions, how will he handle a crisis? Republican J.D. Vance called Walz a bumbling knucklehead. Social media exploded with memes. Clips of the interview went viral within hours. And even moderate Democrats admitted privately that Walz's temper could sink the campaign. Walz's secret wasn't a hidden scandal, it was fragility. His brand was built on composure, and Kelly exposed just how fragile it really was. Leaders are defined by how they handle pressure. Walz's eruption showed us everything. So, what happens now? Can Tim Walz recover before voters make their decision? Or will this meltdown become his legacy? One thing is certain. The mask of Minnesota Nice is shattered, and America saw what was underneath.